feeling good, then go for prayer somewhere. Go for prayer afterwards. Wow. So the theme for our month is our reason for being. That we are here for one reason only, and that is to let God be God as us. And that's what we're going to get into today. It's about time we did, and you'll see why. Last week we talked about anchoring ourselves in God's love, recognizing that we are one with this magnificent power, this unshakable, unconditional force of love. We anchor ourselves, truly anchor ourselves in this ocean, endless ocean of love, and let it wash over us. I know the Valentine's Day was on Friday, and I think of Valentine's Day as a reminder to love, as a reminder to ourselves that we need to do this more often than just one day out of the year. Yeah. You know, I love my chocolates, of course, so I'm not giving them up. But, you know, we need to do that every day to show that love, to feel that love, to be that love, to be that love. So we celebrate, and today we're going to celebrate a key person that we are in relationship with. And that would be ourselves. That's right. Now I know that was we just finished with our Valentine's Day, but we're going to continue that. And today we're going to celebrate you, and you, and you, and you. We're going to celebrate you. Your own uniqueness. Your own uniqueness. Because each and every one of us is a unique individuation of the great oneness of all that is. And that's what we have to remind ourselves. And if we don't know how to do that, we're going to know by the time we leave here this day. That's what we're going to know. The spiritual truth, the real spiritual truth, is that each and every one of us is a unique expression of the one creative force, the divine energy, the one power of life itself, the one energy of the universe. And we call it God. We can call it whatever we want, but we call it God for today. To me, it's an energy, a creative energy that is everywhere, omnipresent, omnipotent. So this one power of love, which we call God, is a fundamental tenet of religious science, which is what this is. This is New Thought, Science of Mind, Religious Science. A key word in that tenet is unique. So each one of us is unique. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, spoke of this idea a lot. So there's a compilation, a medley of all of his, not all of his words, but some of his words. So I'm just going to read this medley. It's from several different sources. So he said, this is all Holmes. One of the chief cornerstones of this spiritual philosophy is that everything in the universe is a unique individuation or expression of the one thing, which is the cause of all things. No two things are alike. And this always blows my mind. No two blades of grass are alike. No two grains of sand are alike. And no two thumbprints are alike. Because this is a God of infinite possibilities and potential. It doesn't have to repeat itself. There's no need to. It's forever creating out of its own nature. Go back to Holmes. You exist so that the one expressive power may have a unique outlet for its expression. You are not only a divine spark of the living spirit of the cosmos, but a unique presentation of the cosmic whole. And you don't think you're powerful? Listen to these words, right? These words are telling you, and this is what our spiritual teaching is based upon. It's empowering. let's see, where did I leave off? I just get so into this. Isn't it exciting? It just makes me so excited, just to repeat it. You should become aware that this power is expressing in you in a unique way, and that it is always pressing against you, seeking a fuller outlet of its infinite possibilities through you, its own self-expression. The more life you express, the more God flows through you. So we're here in these forms with this, and it's not really inside of us. The forms are just covering up our divine nature. So this divine nature in us, which is eternal, so that when these bodies are let go of, that eternal self goes on forever and ever and ever. And that's God expressing itself as you, as you. We often say without God, we wouldn't be. And this is very, very true. And without a conscious intention, a conscious intentional relationship with God, we definitely will live an unfulfilled life. I know I did. Before I found something that could resonate with me, I was unfulfilled. There was an emptiness, that God hole within. I didn't know how to fill it up. I didn't know about New Thought. I didn't know about Buddhism. I didn't know about anything except Catholicism. That didn't do it for me. So it does it for a lot of people, so that's good. But for me, 15, I left. I was gone. Then I found religious science in my 40s, and I was like, oh, this is it. This is what I've been, I was in my teenage years reading existentialism, trying to understand it. And no one around me could explain it to me, because everything is energy. And nobody would tell me this. So I found it. I had finally found what I had been reading and searching for, and I was so excited, and you can see I'm still excited about it. It does not get boring. There is no boredom in the mind or body or infinite allness of God. There isn't any. So here's a big one. God would not be fully expressed in this three-dimensional world of form, and we are three-dimensional here. It couldn't express itself without us being here in form. We express the divine allness of God. This is a big concept. Let me say it again. Without each and every one of you expressing your own uniqueness, God would not be fully expressed in this three-dimensional world. Here, Holmes writes about it. Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, Religious Science. And he writes about that we are created for the delight of God, because we get to express it. We recognize there's a higher power. The animal kingdom just lives in that higher consciousness of what is, I am. It just truly lives in the now. I don't think it needs a calendar on its phone, right? My dog said the dogs don't even have pockets, so they can't even carry it. So I love this affirmation from Ernest Holmes. He said this: I know that everything I am doing is governed by love. I am conscious that I am one with all people in love, in essence and in joy. All of that. There has to be a contrast. And in our human experience in life, we know there's something more than what we're experiencing. And that something more is our divine self, our God self. That's why the contrast is there, because that within us, that innate intelligence within us, knows there's so much more to life than what we are experiencing right now. And so when we open up to that, that's when the doors of heaven open up and flood our being with all kinds of possibilities that we could not even think existed. There's a sweet story. I have a couple of stories for you today. And this one beautifully illustrates this point. So one Sunday morning, As the congregation filed into this little Catholic church in a plaza called Santa Rosa, there was a loud intake of breath. The statue of Jesus stood in the corner as usual, but vandals had broken in and broken off the hands. After the Mass, the priests organized the committee to find out who did this, and also organized the committee to raise some money to buy another statue. The following Sunday, as the congregation filed in for the Mass, there was another loud intake of breath. This time a sign was hanging around the statue's neck. It read in hand-lettered, it was carefully written in hand-lettered words, "I have no hands but yours." We are the hands of God in this human 3D world. And there's a whole bunch of songs that have been written about this. And I love these lyrics that we use. I love the lyrics from Use Me. This is from Use Me, if you know that word. God needs you to shine its light. Or the lyrics from A Blessing to the World. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth. And all that you are and all that you do is a blessing to the world. As well as the lyrics to The Face of God. You are the face of God.
We are.
You are God in physical form, uniquely, individually expressed. Each and every one of us has some kind of gift to offer to ourselves and to this planet. We all have that gift. Believe it. But rather than living in our own unique and individualized magnificence, we often think of our deficiencies, don't we? We think of all the weaknesses, all the failures, everything we did wrong, everything we screwed up or messed up. Is that a curse? That's not a curse.
No, it's not. It's good.
All that we screwed up. Because you're like me, you screw up every once in a while, right? And so that keeps us, though, from our true identities, which we wrap up or lock away. We lock them away. We don't even know it, of who we really are, or what purpose we seem to have on this planet, which direction we should move in, because we don't even know where we're going. We don't have a direction. Love guides the way. So that in and of itself, this isn't coming from the 5 sense realm. This is coming from the faculty realm. This is coming from a higher realm when you go into love. So I remember a time in my life, and as I was beginning to learn these teachings, and as I said before, I just felt completely unfulfilled. I didn't even know that I had any kind of purpose, no kind whatsoever. I was in my early 40s, and I couldn't see what I was supposed to do. I was just learning these teachings, and I'm like, well, I don't have any gifts to offer. I don't know what the purpose of my life is. This is how it feels when you don't have a direct relationship with a higher power. This is how it feels, empty. It feels empty. I don't care all the stuff that's around, all the material, all the family and friends and all of that stuff is still within you. That's why your most important relationship is the one you have with yourself. But it felt unfulfilled. It felt empty. And since I was in this spiritual class and I'm hearing all of this stuff that was so exciting, it took me years to really relate to it. I had shut myself down so deeply that I couldn't even feel anything in my heart. Love, that was foreign to me, completely foreign. I had no idea what love was, none. I know I love my children, but, it wasn't for myself. I had to get to a place of self-like before I could even think about self-love. It didn't resonate with anything within me. So, but I always came back because I loved these teachings. So I really started to deepen into my relationship with this God of my understanding, which I call divine energy. Because that's what I see in my meditation. I see light, I see energy. And I could start to maybe focus on my uniqueness and my perceived limitations. And I know that the only thing that as a child I ever wanted to do was perform. I was performing since the age of 3. I probably said this before. But I just loved performing. I don't know why. You would know why. You do it. But that got tucked away. That got shut down. That got really covered over. So the interesting thing is that need, that urge to perform came up again, but in a different way. It started coming up as you see me now. I'm in front of a mic. It's the same thing. I'm giving a talk, but I'm still performing. I'm still in front of the mic. So, who could imagine that? I didn't have any idea of any of that stuff. But that's the way God operates. You're given a gift. Sometimes you don't know how it's going to show up in the world. You just don't know. Ernest Holmes writes in Science of Mind, the real self is God-given and cannot be denied. It is that place where God comes to a point of individualized and personified expression. And I'm going to read this. I've read this once before, but most of you haven't heard it, and those of you who did probably forgotten it, so I can repeat it again. I have a story. This was told to David Cass Stevens, formerly of the Dallas Morning News. He writes about Frank Zemanski, who was a Notre Dame center, I hope I'm saying his name correctly, in the 1940s. He had been called in to a trial to be a witness. It was a civil lawsuit in South Bend, Indiana. The judge asked him, "Are you on the Notre Dame football team this year?" "Yes, Your Honor," he replied. "What position?" "Center, Your Honor." "How good a center are you?" Zemanski squirmed in his seat for a moment, but then said firmly, "Sir, I'm the best center that Notre Dame has ever had." The coach, Frank Leary, who was in the courtroom, was surprised. This man was an unassuming, very modest kind of person. So when the proceedings were over, he took Zemanski aside and asked him why he had made such a bold statement. And Zemanski blushed, and he said, "I hated to do it, Coach, but I was under oath." We should all be under oath for the rest of our lives. We should be. And own our magnificent beings, who we truly are. The unique qualities that we have, and only we have. Remember, no two thumbprints are the same. So no two unique qualities are quite the same in anyone, anywhere. Holmes writes again, "I shall not lie to myself any more, but shall daily speak the truth to my inner soul, telling it that it is wonderful and marvelous." How many times do we say that to ourselves? Good stuff to ourselves. And I want to give you a suggestion that this might help you do so. If you remember the positive past, and I'm talking about a week, think about this. Ask yourself, the last week that just went by, what success did you have? What could it be? All right? Now ask yourself, how did I mess up this week? Did that come easier? And you don't have to share any of those, but this is usually what we focus on. Oh my God, I can't believe I really said that. Oh, I am really just like something really wrong with me that I actually would say something like that. And then we drag it around with us. But when we do something really magnificent, we just shrug it off and continue on our way. This is why when I teach foundation class, I have everybody do a journal. And usually there's tabs in it. And under one of those tabs is a win page. And they're to write things every day. This is a daily thing. You can do this in your journal. That you feel like this was a win today. Something that I do this still before I go to sleep at night. Think of all the good things that happened to me that day. A win for me. A win for me instead of going to sleep thinking of how I messed up. So we can all do this, and I would highly encourage it, because when you really, think you really did mess up, then you can open up that book and see all the good you did and all the wins you've had in your life. Again, Holmes says, the power is expressing in you in a unique way, and it is always pressing against you, seeking a fuller outlet of the infinite possibilities. Don't think that those imaginations, or we can say fantasies that we have, visions that we have, are out of your realm of obtaining. Because you remember, we talk about the law. I love talking about the law, but you have to take foundations class to really get into that. God is love and law. Law part is the action part. So think of the law of attraction. So if we're imagining something and feeling it, we are putting it into the law. And it can, and it usually does, bring back to us, as long as we don't get in the way and negate it, bring back to us that very experience. It doesn't know the difference between an actual experience and something we're thinking of, imagining. So imagination, which we were taught as children was a bad thing, imagination is very powerful and is a great thing. So I invite all of us to start really imagining how our lives would look with what we desire to have in our lives. Just feel what it feels like to even have it, because the law of attraction will respond to you. It must. It must. Everything you can think of is because the power of God is pressing against you. He also wrote this, Holmes did, in this thing called you. You are united with all. You are one with eternal light. The presence of Spirit within you blesses itself and blesses everyone you meet. It tends to heal everything you touch, bring gladness into the life of everyone you contact. Therefore, you are a blessing yourself, to yourself and to humanity. Each one of us is a blessing to ourselves. Each one of us. And as we deepen more and more into that self-love, then we can truly start loving others. You can't really love others if you don't love yourself. You really can't. You can kind of say the word, but until you really learn to love yourself, you can't fully love. So, in conclusion, I have another little story. It's about a young monk. This is a repeat too, but I love it. A young monk, he arrives at a monastery. He is assigned to help the other monks in copying the old canons and laws of the church by hand. He notices, however, that all of the monks are copying from a copy, not from the original manuscript. So the new monk goes to the head abbot and questions, pointing out that if someone made even the smallest mistake, it would continue to be copied over and over again. It would never be picked up. In fact, the error would be continued in all the subsequent copies. The head monk said, "We have been copying from copies for centuries. But you make a very good point, my son. So the head monk goes down into the dark caves that are underneath the monastery, where the original manuscript has been locked away in a vault for hundreds of years, not opened. Hours go by, and no one sees the old abbot. So the young monk gets worried, and he goes downstairs, and he looks for him. He sees him banging his head against the wall. His forehead is bloody and bruised, and he's crying uncontrollably. The young man asks the old abbot, "What's wrong, Father?" With a choking voice, the old abbot replies, "Oh, no, no, no. They got it wrong. The word. They got the word wrong. The word is celebrate." We're here to celebrate our uniqueness. To celebrate what we are. Y-O-U. Your own uniqueness. I have a song that I just want to play just a little bit.
Sure.
Just a little bit. Just listen to this.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
If you know the words, sing along. That's all the words.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my arms. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
Sing it out.
You are the face of God. Tu es l'image de Dieu. I hold you in my arms. Tu es l'image de l'amour. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
It one more time.
You are the face of God. Tu sais la luce di Dio. I hold you in my arms. Tu sei il volto dell'amore. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
And it goes on. All right, one more time.
I hold you in my arms. You are a part of me. You are the face of God.
I want us all to remember that. I want us to remember that each one of us is the face of God. Each one of us is here to express that infinite God self that we truly are. Each one of us can do this through love, through kindness. Kindness is a factor, a facet of love. So through that kindness, through that love, you can make I don't care what's going on in the world. You got to return to that place of love and peace within yourself. Truly, because this is your life, you get to express it, so you get to choose, and so it is.